Greetings and welcome to my channel. This is Sorcerer Tal. You can also find me on Facebook in the Sorcerers Guild. Today on Becoming Weird, we are finally going to be talking about the Aywa. Okay, so like I said, finally, I realized it's been about 33 days since my last video, and I said soon on those, and even very soon on the Sorcerer Tal's Tales. Those will be coming as well. Still, starting with the one about my early childhood when I tried to find a monster under my bed. Frankly, I didn't realize how vulnerable that was going to make me feel to tell these tales from my childhood. But even though I find it a little intimidating, those are going to be coming out very soon. But more importantly, I have been negotiating an alliance with the Aywa. And that turned out to be a lot more complex and complicated than I expected. But we have reached an arrangement where all parties should be happy, and we are going to go ahead with the alliance. So, I can now unveil what it is we've been working on. Okay, so in order to understand this alliance that is being proposed, first you'll need to understand who the Aywa are. So we're going to talk about the Aywa, a little bit about their sigil here and what it is and how it can be used. And then we'll talk about the alliance itself, what it is that they want from us, and what it is they're offering in return, because it's a little different than your usual spiritual pact. Yeah? This is an offering of an alliance of sorts. Anyways, after that, we'll talk about what that means for the for my projects as a whole, and that should conclude the video. And we'll get to the Sorcerer Tal's Tales very soon. Yes, I know. I said very soon last time, but much sooner this time. Okay, so who are the Aywa? The Aywa are a group of liminal space beings. Much like the Horde, they are not necessarily all gathered from the same race. There are a few different species of liminal space beings that are very represented in the Aywa, so it may give the impression that they are largely a species known as kind, which are a type of fae that are very much on the material side of the liminal space. These are energetic beings whose primary focus is on the material plane. And there's crossroads beings, gatekeepers, tricksters of many different types. This is something that everyone that has gathered and agreed to this alliance within that space is welcome, as long as they keep the alliance, the concurrences, as the Horde would call it. They're forming their own council. I suppose that's not really the word. I don't want to say they're forming their own Horde. They're forming their own mutual understanding amongst themselves and alliance to concurrences. And we are basically being offered to be part of that. Okay, so now that I've explained who they are, these fae beings and etc. that exist within the veil itself, but have a primary focus on the material plane, we'll get to what it is that they want. What they want, first and foremost, is to expand that liminal space back to a healthier margin. I've talked about a lot in previous videos about how there is a lack of balance in our reality between these three planes. Yeah, they're not trying to make the entire existence liminal space, because that wouldn't work for them either. They need to be able to be in that between. If everything's the in-between, well, that's no good. So it's not they're trying to conquer the earth in any kind of liminal, draw us all down into liminal space. But they do want to expand this back to a healthy balance. And they would like our help in doing that. And there are some other things that they will need in order for that to be safe for them, which we will be helping them with. Okay, so that is their primary focus. And what is it that they want from us? Well, in the modern climate, these are not apolitical beings. Yeah? They have very self-motivated reasons to be involved in what is essentially politics these days, in that they don't want the world to end. Yeah, they don't want the material plane to be destroyed by pollution, climate change, and all these sort of things. So, what do they want from us? They want our help in protecting the environment. And it doesn't mean change your profile green or, put a tree. This isn't about thoughts and prayers. It can be about spell work, which, if it takes on that form and it's effective, yes. But this is more about actually, showing up for environmental causes. Perhaps even voting for environmental candidates. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. Okay? None of that is what I'm here for, but I am telling you what it is that the Aywa want. And what they want is to protect the environment. They want to also protect marginalized groups. There are a few reasons for this. Number one amongst those is that many of these marginalized groups are groups that have been working with these spirits over the years. There is an overlap here between these spirits that have been pushed into this smaller and smaller portion of the veil as it just keeps getting, or liminal space as it keeps getting smaller as we advance with all these trying to make everything the same, trying to define everything as categories rather than allowing this individuality that allows for that vagary of thought, that liminal, that is conducive to the creation of liminal space. Yeah? And I'm not saying they don't want us to learn, but they want us to learn the reality of things, not trying to put everything in little categories. But the point here is that they have been pushed aside as well, and they have already, on individual bases, made a lot of different pacts and promises and alliances with many of these marginalized communities. And that's not just with the different races that have been pushed aside, but even the LGBTQ community. There's been a lot of small pacts there between different trans people and this fae or that fae or some other being. And, well, they still want to keep the contracts they've made. Nobody's going back on anything. But we need to draw this all together now, because we are stronger together. Yeah? And so the main types of offerings that they are interested in is protection of the marginalized communities, protection of the environment, things like that. And also beauty. They want beautiful things preserved. But they want a world that is worth living in. And they want your help creating that. Yeah? And that is what they're interested in here. And there are different beings that are going to want different things. Because I'm not actually going to be connecting you with any one particular being. Over time, we will be discussing how to connect with beings so that you can establish rapport and make more direct deals with individual beings. In order to do that, you'll eventually be making a head. I've had him in a few of my videos before, but this is Luenga. This is one of the heads that I most communicate with, and that's what they're for. This is essentially like having their phone number. Luenga isn't in this head. This is a way of communicating with him. They also often have sigils that they will share with you, but I will be showing how to make these fairly soon. But we have some other things to go through before you be ready for that. Okay, let me put him back. Anyways, so the individuals that you work with will have other interests as far as offerings as well, besides these overarching goals that they have agreed to work towards with us. And so those can be seen as offerings, because if we work with them towards those goals, that's them seeing us working towards that alliance, and that is seen as offering to the Aywa as a whole. once you get down to individuals, they're going to want things, and it may take the form of rum, tobacco, smoke, those sort of things like spirits will often ask for, but there's a very good chance that with a lot of these beings, it's going to take the form of artistry or games. They're going to want to play games with you. They're going to want to be entertained in some way. But we will get to that. Okay, so that is what they want from us. They want us to help them keep this world from destroying itself. They also don't like authoritarianism, because they have found in the past that when people decide as a group to do things to them back when they could manifest to a larger degree, because liminal space used to be much bigger, and that allows them to interact with the material plane to a larger degree, but it also allows us to interact with them to a larger degree. So, they have found in the past that it is totalitarian, authoritarian type governances that tend to force other people to harm them. It's very rare that someone chooses to harm them themselves, but that they are forced to through some agency outside of themselves, like a king or a queen or something like that. So they're not a large fan of authoritarianism and are willing to help with that, and in fact that can be seen as gifts to the Aywa as well. So protecting the environment, resisting authoritarianism, protecting marginalized groups. These are the price of the Aywa. These are the things they see as offerings. As the individual, you will eventually have an individual that you work with, maybe more as kind of a mentorship program, because whichever one you work with will also be teaching you. But their offerings will take the form of rapport. Most of the time, like I said, they're going to want to play games, be entertained, maybe even just have the head there while you watch shows that you really like, that you think they will enjoy. Anyways, so, continuing on. What is our benefit from this? Well, first of all, if you're anyone interested in protecting the environment, if you're part of a marginalized community and or are interested in protecting marginalized communities or resisting authoritarianism, well, they are very interested in helping you with that and will help you achieve that. Yeah? They will work with you hand in hand to do everything they can to make sure that you're where you need to be, when you need to be. You are gone from where you don't want to be when it's time to be gone from that area. These are beings that will help you with that. And they have helped people with this in the past. There are some stories that we'll actually be telling, and some we won't be, about times where they've done this before, some of these beings, and some of them would like to be talked about, and others not so much. But, at any rate, that is one of the things they are offering for us, is help with these types of causes, and protection for those that are in the marginalized communities, if you ally with them. Now, understand, once again, we are talking about alliance, not worship, not fealty. Loyalty is part of alliance in some ways, but we're not talking about fealty. We're the dominant group here, okay? I'm not offering you Fey masters. I am offering you Fey friendship. Yeah? These are beings that don't want to rule you, nor do they want to be ruled by you. This is open commerce, rapport, and potentially friendship. So, like I said, those are the things that they are willing to help us with any of those areas. They are also willing on an individual basis. Once you get to know individuals, they are able to help you with all kinds of different things, and you just have to be set up with the right person that can help you. Some great examples of stuff that I have learned recently is I am working with a certain kind, not Luenga. That's what he is a kind, but he's also a crossroads spirit. Anyways, I am working with a different kind, and he is teaching me how to throw the wit of a knife. I've recently remembered from my own past life memories, with their help, of dredging up things, like of how to remember the right types of memories. I recently remembered how to throw a knife, and I'm doing pretty good after picking up that memory. But now I have one working with me, and what he means by the wit is the information comprising the knife itself. Like there's the material, plain existence of the knife, and then there's the energy condensed behind the matter within that knife, and that would be the form of that knife. And then the wit, or info, of that knife is it on the mental plane. And so what he's been working with me on is how to throw the information of the knife when I throw the knife, and it's supposed to increase my accuracy and a few other things about it. So it's been fun, and it's been quite interesting. Getting pretty decent. I'm not circus level tricks anymore, quite yet, but one of the things that they offer us is many different types of learning. One thing that we'll be learning through all of this, obviously, is how to open the crossroads and work magic from there ourselves, as well as working in conjunction with these different beings. Okay, so that is the alliance itself, what they're offering, and what we get out of it on the surface, but we also get out of it openness to this commerce, to this open marketplace that the Aywa are providing at the crossroads. To get there, we will first need to access this sigil. And that will be step one, is drawing that sigil. I have a better rendition of it that I will leave up here. So what the Aywa sigil is intended to represent is the three crossroads of the weird within the 8 points of a chaos star. And I've talked about the weird before, about how it is the weaving of the pattern of reality and fate and all those things. And the 8-pointed star is the wheel of time itself. So this is more importantly emphasizing that motion. But then it also puts all three crossroads, as well as a few side Y roads, whatever those are called, to represent the idea of choice and free will. So what this represents is the absolute moment of liminal space, where there is in between everything, in between both time and fate and reality, is the crossroads of the Aywa, where all things are possible. And it is simply a matter of choice, how time weaves the will and the wheel around you. Yeah? Okay, so that is what the sigil represents. It's typically going to be seen in red, white, and black, like the sigil I will show you again here. And what we want to do, we can draw it any way that we need, of course, if we're just drawing it somewhere. We want to place this sigil, places where we want their influence over this reality. So places where we want to create liminal space, places where we want to draw their attention, but also places where their influence is needed for political reasons. I hate to use the word political, because to me, protecting the environment, protecting the marginalized community, this should be beyond politics. That shouldn't be where politics is. We shouldn't have people arguing whether people have the right to exist. But we are, and we do. So here we are. Now, in order to begin this alliance, how do we join this alliance between people in the flesh? I don't mean humans, because let's face it, many of us consider ourselves otherkin. Some of us do, some of us don't. But that, well, it might affect who chooses to work with you, depending on what you have inside of your flesh. But all people in flesh, that are willing to agree to this alliance are welcome to join. And how you join this alliance, start the alliance, is you will get a key. Doesn't have to be a cool brass one like this, can be any kind of key you want. You draw the sigil, kiss the key, place it in the center of the sigil, imagine it opening. Then bring the key back, kiss it again, and place it around your neck. And you will wear this key as a representation of that alliance with the Aywa. Yeah? And that is the first step. This doesn't obligate you much more than to much of anything. It simply gets where they can see you and prepares you to open up having your key to the crossroads and interacting with grandmother, who will help you open the crossroads for the first time. So this is the first step. Make the sigil, more like the one that I show you in the video. This one I didn't quite get how it was supposed to look. All 8 points are supposed to come out. It is supposed to be an 8-pointed star with 3 points, with 3 crossroads inside. Okay, so you can even actually use the one on the screen. Focus on it, charge that image, take the key, kiss it, lift it up, put it in the center, imagining it opening the way, take the key back, kiss it again, put it around your neck. There will be a second stage to this where we interact with grandmother and have her open the way so we can use the key and open up the crossroads. But we will be discussing that in a future video. For now, I think that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you once again for joining us. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please take the opportunity to do so now. Until next time, bright blessings and an interesting fate. This has been Sorcerer Tal.